We're talking Ball State. Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State. Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells. Schumann, Bell Tower, and Worthen. Fans all over from Muncie to Berlin. Getting Concannons, Carters, and Greeks. All right, everyone out there in Cardinal land, thank you for joining us live this Sunday evening for another edition of Ball State of the Union, your number one Ball State football podcast. By the fans, for the fans. We're talking current headlines, exclusive interviews with Cardinal athletes and coaches, and fun off-the-wall debates that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, we're going to be hearing that beautiful song by that beautiful voice on this beautiful Victory Sunday. You know we're about to be talking Ball State. I am John, joined by, as always, Colin from Ball State Football Talk, Ball State Hall of Famer, Ball State legend, the one, the only Mr. Willie Sneed. Boys, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you to everyone out there listening, joining us here this evening to celebrate another Ball State Cardinals victory. If you can hear us, you want to get in on the conversation, you want to tell us what you liked yesterday, where you think this season's going to end up going, put it in the comments, put in any questions you have, put it in the chats on Facebook, put them in the chats on X and on YouTube, and we'll get to them all at the end of the show. So before we get into that, we got a couple things to go first. First, as always, Ball State of the Union is partnering with the Shop Indie. That is the Shop Indie, www.theshopindie.com. Use that code BSUnion, and you will get free shipping on your order. Anything that they got on their website, you'll get free shipping with that code BSUnion. Use that at your checkout, and we really appreciate it. And as always, Ball State of the Union is also a member of the College Huddle. I actually sat down with Eric the other day and did a little interview for their YouTube channel and their Twitter page, kind of talking about Ball State, letting all the people out there know about Ball State football season so far and Ball State of the Union as a show. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. And we're always a proud member of Ball State of the Union, is a proud member of the College Huddle as always. So before we jump right into the game, boys, I'm feeling good. I call what this is a perfect football weekend for myself. What does that mean? My high school, Center Grove Trojans, W. Indianapolis Colts, 6-1, W. And what everyone's here to talk about, Ball State Cardinals win against Akron at homecoming. Willie was in the house. Great day. Mm-hmm. Interesting game. We'll get into all the facets of that, but Ball State wins against Akron yesterday, 42-28, moving Ball State to 2-1 in the MAC. Maybe a little bit surprising for most people out there before the season. Prognosticators out there thinking where Ball State would be at this point, but one game under 500 with a pretty favorable stretch coming up. So this big story of the day yesterday, obviously, is Kyle Kelly. Maybe not as much in the passing game, but again, we know with this Ball State team, that's not how it was always going to be. 10-19, 121 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but on the ground, 19 carries, 50 yards, and 3 touchdowns, as you saw in the thumbnail of the graphic tonight. Kyle Kelly had a hat trick yesterday as a running quarterback, which is an awesome thing. So also big day for Quay Ashley, 20 carries, 143 yards, and 1 touchdown. Guys, we've been talking about in this receiving core, who's going to step up outside of Keon Magwood. Kobe Gross steps up yesterday, 3 catches, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. And then the big story, kind of to ice the game away from the running back room, but on the kickoff return, TJ Horton springs one at the end of the game to have Ball State finally be able to break out and get that lead secured for the rest of the game. They were 3 to 10 points for most of the second half, and every time they kind of got up 10, it felt like Akron kind of fought right back, and we couldn't really get that separation. But TJ Horton finishes it off and sends everyone home happy after a long lightning delay. So I loved it. We'll get into everything here. Things we liked, maybe some things we didn't like as much, but we'll get into all that now. So, Colin, I want to start with you. Your initial takeaways from the 48 win yesterday for your Ball State Cardinals.
Yeah, I thought it was a really solid, well-rounded win, John. That should get us going for the next 3 weeks here. We got NIU coming up, Kent State, Eastern Michigan. These next 3 games are super winnable, and I'm starting to smell a bowl game. I don't want to put the cart before the wagon or, count my chickens before they hatch, but these next 3 games have me super excited because I think in all 3 we're the better team. Guys who, the usual suspects were stepping up, the Kyle Kellys of the world, the Quay Ashley, Keon Magwoods. But there were some newbies that I saw out there that were really flashing for me. TJ Horton, I'd put him probably in between the two because he has been making some plays, but like you said, he was one of the reasons we really sealed it and were able to feel good by the end there. Kobe Gross was huge. He caught that pass from Ty Robinson. Ty Robinson. I mean, we
Yep.
just spoke about it a couple weeks ago. We had him on AWOL alert. It didn't look like we were really using him. They dial him up on the double pass. He threw a great ball under pressure. That was amazing to see. And even some people in the secondary, Roman Pearson, he looked phenomenal yesterday. And one of my favorite things I saw, John, there were some guys who were getting picked on a little bit here and there. JoJo, the number 1 on defense, he led up a touchdown early, the first touchdown, and then he let up a touchdown in the third quarter. And he came back, kept his head in the game, and got a pick to seal the deal with about a minute left in the fourth quarter. So all around team win that should really spring us forward and get us going with some momentum, John.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things you brought up right there was something I was just think. It made me reminisce a little bit here. So Ty Robinson throws a touchdown pass yesterday. A couple weeks back, Keon Magwood throws one against UConn. And the man at the bottom of the screen, I've seen him throw some passes in the NFL. I've seen him throw some passes in college football from a wide receiver position. Willie, I know you had to like seeing that. You get the wide receiver show off their arm. What else did you like yesterday? What was maybe kind of your initial thoughts? You're at the game. What'd you notice?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good performance. It was up and down most of the game until the second half. I feel like they really flipped it on once they came out of half. From just listening to coach's press conference after the game, it sounded like the guys were in control at halftime, even though they were down and they weren't playing consistent football. It just seemed like the energy in the locker room was there. It's just the accountability was there. We got to execute. We got to work harder. We got to do what we need to do to win this game. And I think everybody was committed to that, and they made great halftime adjustments. It was good to see um, my boy get the pass off because that was kind of a I was surprised, and he put it right on the money under pressure. There was people in his face, and that was one of those explosive plays coach was talking about, just trying to get the offense going. Um, it was a rough start on the first drive. He got real aggressive on fourth down on our side of the field, and
Mhm.
it didn't work and turned into points quick for Akron. So you know I feel coach on trying to get that first drive. He must be listening to the podcast or something because I did say something last week about that, just with the fast start, and he took it there. But sometimes you take those risks, and like I said, they bounced back all game. They kept fighting. It was good to see Kyle Kelly, just have control of the game. Those 3 runs he had, dude, were awesome,
Mhm.
man. Just seeing him cut on a dime, make a dude miss, and kind of accelerate into the end zone. It just shows like what kind of athlete he is, man, and he's special. Um, awesome hat trick. And then TJ Horton, I talked to him before the game, and I told him, I said, I need it today. I need it today. And he told me he got me, and he had an up and down first half, but that second half, man, he just broke free on that kickoff return. And that's what we've been talking about with special teams, right? Just having that explosive play to kind of change the game in our way, in our favor. And it kind of sealed the deal. It kind of put everything on ice on top of the 2 picks at the end of the game between Pearson and Lewis. That was pretty good to see as well, just to seal the game, get those picks on the stat sheet. And then also shout out Voris getting another sack, tally that to the total, man, because he's working to do something special, man, and I think he's gonna do it. Um, he's not focused on it, from what I hear. He's just a man determined to prove a lot of people wrong, and that's a scary combo. So awesome to see the guys kind of pull this one out for homecoming, even with the delay. It was like a 30-40 minute delay, and
Mhm.
that's kind of like where I hit my eject button because my back was on fire, and I'm like the type of guy, if I'm on the sideline, I'm not trying to sit down. So, and I was doing a lot of sitting down. So I think it was time for me to go at that
Yeah.
point. But it was good, man. It was good to get back. It was for homecoming. And it was good to see those guys get this dub, man.
2-0 this year, Willie, when games you
Hmm.
go to 2-0. So we might have
That's
to
right.
call you back up the Kent State game in a couple weeks. But one of the things you're mentioning, talking about how you think maybe Coach Hughes watching the show, listen to what we're saying. Hey, I said from here on out until it changed, one of my chirps was going to be no punts on the first drive, and we didn't have a punt on the first drive this
That's
time.
right.
Now it wasn't exactly what I had in mind, but it was not a
Yeah.
punt on the first drive. So, uh, Colin, I guess we can start with you. You can jump into the offense. I mean, obviously the big players of the day, Kyle Kelly and Quay Ashley. We talked about Kyle Kelly on the ground yesterday. Those 3 touchdowns. He had a couple amazing plays on third downs, third and longs to really pick things up. What's kind of maybe your impression of Kyle's game yesterday and the offense in general?
Yeah, offense looked great. Kyle Kelly looked incredible as well. He really did a good job protecting the ball. He did have one pick, but that pick wasn't really on Kyle. It was a pass. I forget what his name is, guys. Number 85. He like kind of caught the ball and then
Oh
threw it
yeah,
back up, and the
Cam
defense
Anthony.
Yeah.
swarmed in.
Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony. Yep. Well, other than that, there was no turnovers for. Oh, he did have the fumble when he was trying to make a play. Shook one guy. The guy fell, got back up, sandwiched him, and then the ball popped out. Um, but I'm actually okay with Kyle Kelly. Like, if he has a fumble like that where he's trying to make a play and he's juking somebody, I'd rather that than he's just tossing the ball up carelessly. And he did have 3 rushing touchdowns, one through the air. Quay Ashley, 20 rushes, 143 yards, 1 touchdown. One of my chirps for the game was we needed to see someone step up other than the usual suspects, other than Kyle Kelly to Keon Magwood and Quay Ashley, TJ Horton here and there. And that person was really Kobe Gross. So he caught the pass from Ty Robinson, and then he caught another long ball from Kyle, and he had a hurdle as well, a really impressive hurdle. So I want to see him get the ball more. That was a good sign. And Nate Voris, that sack that Willie brought up. I know we're talking about offense. I'm sorry, I didn't. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but he was double teamed. He was double teamed, so everybody was just playing spectacularly. A lot of huge highlight plays. Offense in general, though, John did look really good.
Yeah, and you're talking about that play where Kobe Gross hurdled that guy. Is that the same play where Kyle scrambled a bunch and kind of got that ball off right when they smoked? That was an amazing play. I think those were obviously the touchdown runs were great. He had that one, and he had another one, maybe like 3rd and 18 at some point in the first half, where he kind of got out and scrambled away. I don't know if he scored
Oh
on that one or
yeah.
not, but
No, it was a huge
yeah,
game.
so he had a huge gain, 3rd and 18. So these scenarios where they're 3rd and long, even if that passing game isn't always there, he's able to be explosive enough and get these drives extended for him, and that's a big thing. Willie, what else did you notice from the offense yesterday? Obviously, big plays, Quay Ashley. Anybody else out there beside Quay Ashley and Kyle Kelly that really stood out to you?
Honestly, I think a lot of guys got involved offensively in the passing game. I mean, everybody was touching the rock. I don't think anybody really had any big numbers besides Gross. He made the most of his opportunities. That hurdle was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I heard some kid mention that he hurdled somebody in practice during the week, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like,
In
who hurdles
practice,
in practice,
yeah.
right? Like, that's too intense for me. But I really liked the demeanor on the sideline because it wasn't all, happy and like good times because there was some drives that stalled out. One particularly before the half, they had timeouts, they had time, and it kind of just sputtered out. So I would love for them to, be better at the 2-minute drill, because those are points that we can possibly grab. We can't just go 3 and out and punt the ball and give it back to them with less than a minute. That's something that they can continue to build on. But I just thought the passing game, there was a lot of guys involved. I just saw guys like being involved more often than not. And I wanted to shout out a kid, Donovan Hamilton. Like, this kid is gonna be special, man. Like, he's young. You could tell he's starting to get going, but I feel like once this kid gets comfortable and he gets another offseason under his belt, like, watch out for this kid, man. He's gonna be something serious. He's like 6'4". He's got a nice frame. I think if he continues to improve in his skill set, he's gonna be a monster. And then Magwood, you got Weatherly was trying to get going a little bit. I think it's that they just continue to build on the passing game. The run game is always gonna be there, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're gonna come into games trying to do, run the football. But we just gotta continue to build on the passing game. I'm really waiting to see Kyle Kelly throw over 200 yards. That's going to be big for him and just his confidence. But overall, I thought the offense was just steady. They had some big plays. The 69-yarder by Ashley was awesome. I don't know if it was 60 or 69, but it was a huge game. Took it to the crib, and the receivers, man, Magwood was blocking his tail off, man. You hear me? Like he was getting on safeties, on corners, and just springing that run for like even more. Because if those guys don't go all out and they're blocking, those runs can be like 8, 9 yards instead of house calls, right? So shout out to receivers in the blocking game. Continue to build on the passing game, and just way to close the deal, man. Way to close the deal and not give this team any more life, especially after the delay. That can kind of throw teams off. Just not playing consistent, like just having that break for like 30, 40 minutes and then have to go back on the field, warm up, and then have to go through and finish the game 7 minutes left. Just kudos to them, man. They would stay locked in. They came back out ready to go, and they earned this dub. So I'm happy with what they did.
Yeah, I had a couple extra things on offense here that I wanted to get in here before we move on. So the first thing was the start of the game. The offensive line was not looking good. They were not looking good at all. I don't think. I think in the first half, on the broadcast yesterday, I think it said Akron had 5 sacks in the first half. Now the box score is reflecting 4. So I think they really tightened it up at halftime. You're talking about some of these adjustments that they're making. I think they really tightened it up in the second half, and you can look at the scoring summary throughout the game.
Right.
14 points in the first quarter, none in the second, and then 14 in the third and 14 in the fourth. So they really kind of ramped up because not only the sacks, but Kyle was taking shots as well, like even just in general, not that weren't sacks. So they really shored things up in the second half, which is good to see. And also, we talk about how Ball State wants to play as a team. We want to be able to run this ball, and the best way for us to be able to do that is to play with a lead. Well, this was the first game all season that we led after the first quarter, so that really gave us a chance to be able to establish that run how we really want to. We don't want to have to be throwing the ball all the time if we don't have to. Which a lot of games this year we've had to throw more often than not, and that's not always a recipe for success for us. So, being able to have a lead after the first quarter and be right in at halftime was a good recipe for Ball State yesterday to really get things going where they wanted it to go. So I think that covers a lot of things offensively. Again, I think it was a great offensive day. So let's switch it over to the defense now. And Willie, I'll start with you. What'd you kind of think of Ball State's defense yesterday? Obviously, they had stretches where they looked really well, and Akron couldn't do anything, and then there were stretches where we couldn't stop Akron at all, and they could kind of do whatever they want. Kind of walk me through what you saw from Ball State's defense yesterday.
I think what I've seen, our defense is in the best position when teams have to go like long distance against them, right? I think it's those sudden change of moments when they get a pick, we throw a pick, or it's a turnover on downs and it's a short field. That's when our defense is more vulnerable, from what I've been noticing the past couple weeks. Now, when we score or we punt the ball inside the 5 yard line and make teams go 90 something yards on us, that's when our defense gets hardened. And that's when I feel like we're at our strength and our best at that point, because we got a great front seven. I was talking to Joey before the game and just during the game. I'm like, dude, I'm just like in love with your passion, man. Like, continue to be that guy. And he just stepped up, man. Him, Vora, and a couple of other D linemen with a couple sacks, man. They just caused havoc for Akron. And you got to give Akron, some credit. They did call some good plays. The one before the half on the deep shot, that was. I hate seeing that stuff, man, because it's just like a momentum like crasher. You know what I'm saying? We've been building momentum all the way up to halftime, and then they catch a bomb right down the middle of the field for a touchdown. So it's like those little moments that we got to clean up on defense because those can be backbreakers in bigger games. But they recovered real well. They came out in the second half just on a mission to finish this game the right way. And then they got those 2 picks at the end of the game. I think they just kept applying pressure all game on Akron and forced them to really try to beat them in the trenches, which they couldn't. That was evident. They couldn't really run the ball, but the passing game just needs to continue to improve. But it was good to see them close the game out with 2 picks, man, because that's just a confidence builder, man. Like, you watch that tape, they're obviously going to say, hey, we got to be better in this area. We got to be better in sudden change moments of the game, like coming off the bench, right? Oh, shit, we threw a pick. Now we got to go out there and defend it, right? Like, it's got to be that. And then, I do want to give them a shout out on the 1 yard line. They held, I think Pearson talked about it. They held them at the 1 yard line for them to kick a field goal.
Yep.
And then that's when the kick return happened, right? So that was a huge moment in the game as well, just to keep them from continuing to build that momentum, right, that we were trying to get. And that's the type of team defense that we need to see consistently. But I feel like it only works when the offense is playing complementary with the defense, and then that's when we can really see what our defense can do when they're fresh, motivated, and just ready to close the game out. Especially like when we have the lead, right, and the team has to score. Now it's on our defense to really show up and close it out, and that's what they did yesterday.
For sure. And yeah, you made a great point there. Something we'll get into a little bit later as well, talking about this delay. You know, Ball State comes out of that delay, stops them on third and one from the 1 yard line, forces Akron to kick, and then they take advantage the very next play, and that's when that kick return happened. So they came out ready to play. They came out focused, and it obviously showed in the results. They were finally able to push it over that that 10-point lead that they had kind of been stuck at all game. So Colin, defensively for you, I know we've covered a lot of it so far, but is there anything that you liked yesterday that maybe we haven't mentioned, or something that you just kind of want to reiterate that Willie maybe said?
I think I'm mostly in agreement with Willie. Um, it seemed like for the first time in a long time, the defense wasn't just stuck out on the field for too long. And because of that, we got a better return on investment with our defense. It was more, everybody was making plays. Nate Voris, Darren Conley, the two picks we had in the secondary. There was another 2 sacks. When the players had more time to rest once they're on the field, I feel like they can give you something more than we have been when we just turnover or 3-and-outs nonstop. So mostly in agreement. I think he said it well.
Yeah, and two things I wanted to add as well. One something that we haven't mentioned yet, and one that to reiterate what Willie was saying, because I think it's really important. Number one, a name that we talked a lot about in the offseason, and maybe we haven't seen show up on the stat sheet as much, because sometimes he's more of interior type defensive lineman. You don't necessarily see them on the stat sheet all the time, but they're not. It doesn't mean they're not having an impact. Darren Conley showed up on the stat sheet yesterday. Sack, tackle for a loss. So I want to make sure we give him a shout out. And then Willie put it perfectly. When you get into this scenario where you're playing with the lead, it doesn't matter how many yards you give up, how many points you get up. You just have to make enough plays on defense at the end of the game to close it out. I watched the Indianapolis Colts for 10 years do this with Peyton Manning back in the early 2000s. They would have these awesome offensive games, and it would just come down to Dwight Freeney or Robert Mathis making a big play at the end of the game. And that's what these defensive backs did last night. They shut the door on them in these last couple of drives with these picks, taking the ball back and just saying, hey, whatever back and forth we've had this game is over now. We're going to put this game on lock right now. And so that's winning football right there. If you can do that, if you can take those opportunities away at the end of the games to not let somebody back in, you're going to win a lot of those games. And that's something that we haven't done the last few years. So I was really happy to be able to see that and, really just kind of ice one away here. So we're going to talk about icing one away. Let's, before we get to special teams, I hit my transition too early there. I want to remind anyone out there listening, if you want to get in on the conversation with us tonight, be sure to put your comments in the chats and we will read them at the end of the show. So talking about icing it away, special teams, obviously TJ Horton's able to put it away. Colin, I know you're the big special teams guy. We had that big play. There's a couple other things. What'd you take from special teams yesterday?
Adam Saul has to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Pinned him inside the 5 at a crucial time, was flipping fields for us all year. He's been so important to what we do. And it's just great to see him continue the success that he's having. We use him a lot. He's a weapon for us. That has to be my big standout on special teams is Adam Saul. Kudos to him. Shout out to him. Great game.
Mm-hmm. Willie, what about you? I know you were at the stadium at the time of the kickoff return. We let you know what was going on. But anything before that you really liked? Obviously, Adam Saul pinned him deep, like Colin said. Did you notice anything else out there?
Yeah, definitely Adam was on his A game. I gotta get a handshake with this guy at some point. But I think I want to shout out Homer too, the kicker. Just on the kickoffs, man, because I'm a kickoff type of guy. When I see guys running, I just like yell because it makes people run faster, right? Like I shout on the sideline. It's like everybody was looking at me, but it's just like that's the type of energy we need on kickoff. And Homer was booming them booming them out the end zone. But even when they did get one, the kickoff team was flying down the field, man, and just ready to stick somebody. And that's the type of energy we need because it's like when special teams is playing at a high level, it forces the offense and defense to match the energy, right? And we talk about it week in and week out. We have to find a way to put the game in our favor. And one of those things is special teams, right? And I just wanted to give shout out to also Homer because he was booming them. The kickoff team was flying downfield. And then obviously TJ Horton, man, like they're gonna be talking about this all week because like I think it was for 90 something yards,
Mm-hmm.
right? Took it to the house. The kickoff return team blocked it up well, no flags, found the crease, hit it, and then it was see you later from there, man. And I just want to shout out that kid, man, because he had an up and down first half. He really could have shut it down, but he kept going. His teammates were there for him. And when it counted the most, when they needed him to make the play in the end, he was there. You know, and that's the type of complimentary football Ball State has to continue to establish if they want to be taken seriously, right? Like these are the type of games. Yes, we put this on paper. Okay, now teams gonna have to really come with the A game. NIU's gonna have to, really prepare, and we got to prepare the same way we did when we were preparing for Akron, right? It should be no difference, none, right? You got to go 1-0 in every week. I feel like if we get this team every single week, like you said, Colin, a lot of these games are winnable, right? I don't want to look too far ahead because I hate doing that. I'll enjoy it when we get there, but these guys can really do something really cool that hasn't been done in a while, especially with the first year head coach and Coach U. He has those guys committed and trying to do things the right way. It's just now, is the switch gonna flip for everybody, right? The switch is flipped for a lot of guys, but it has to be everybody. Everybody has to buy in. Everybody has to be all into what Coach U is preaching, and then just going out there and executing on Friday, Saturday, Wednesday night, Tuesday night, whenever they call us to play the game, we pull up and we do what we need to do as Ball State Cardinals. So awesome day for the special teams unit. Let's just keep building on it.
Yeah, and we're gonna look a little bit more in depth into TJ Horton's touchdown here in just a minute. We're gonna look at a couple plays. That's one of them because there's something I want to point out on that play specifically that Willie, I think you're really gonna like. I mean, Colin, you're gonna like as well, but Willie, you being a wide receiver, you're gonna like this. But one other interesting note, this is not a negative by any means. Because a 53-yard field goal for a kicker in the MAC is a tough one to make at any point. But there was a missed field goal yesterday. I'm not on that for it being a miss. What I'm on it for is it hit in such an interesting spot. I've never seen a kick hit where the crossbar and the upright came together. It hit right there. Like you should almost get points for hitting that. That is like an amazing spot to hit a field goal at. I've never seen that before. That's the only reason I wanted to bring it up was because I've been watching football pretty much every weekend of my life since like the late 90s, and I've never seen a ball hit right there before. Willie, have you ever seen a ball hit right where it did yesterday? That was crazy, I thought.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was so close to, man. I
Oh,
just was
yeah.
like, just to go out there and try it, right? Like because we got two good kickers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just to go out there and put it out there. I mean, he was that close, right? So
Yeah.
it was tough to see, but I haven't seen it hit in that exact spot before, like you're
Mm-hmm.
saying, John. That'll be a first.
Yeah, say it's usually either the upright or it's the crossbar, but this hit both of them basically right at the same spot. So,
Hmm.
so Colin's always gets some clips for us. So Colin has a couple plays he want to talk about, and the main thing he wanted to emphasize here is kind of effort that he's seeing from this team. So Colin's got a couple plays, and then unbeknownst to me,
Yeah.
I did not realize that this was going to be an effort section because I have a play as well that was effort centered. So I'll get to mine next. But yeah, we both noticed some things. So let me pull up Colin's first thing here for him. And Colin, while I do that, you kind of tell people what they're about to see.
Yeah. John, can I guess real quick? Is yours Eric Weatherly on the kickoff return? Is that who you're going to shout out on this?
Don't ruin it. But yeah, but yes.
I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it. I don't spoil it, but I think I saw it.
Yeah.
That's the same type of thing I'm talking about here. What we're
Mhm.
going to see here is Nate Voris on the opposite side of the play go around the O line on the towards where the quarterback is, and then shoot up the field and tackle a player 20 yards down the field, close to kind of field goal range, but preventing them from scoring on this drive. So go ahead. Or no, they do end up. I'm wrong. I think they do score. I think they score a touchdown
I don't
on this.
think
I'm
so.
not sure. Go ahead,
No,
run
they
it though.
don't.
Run it.
Yep.
Okay. So here he is on the right side, of course, and yep, goes all the way.
Oops.
That's just
Sorry, I went too
that's
far.
just what. Oh, you're good. You're good.
I went too far. My bad. Keep talking. I'll play it again.
Well, pretty much I'm just trying to show like effort here. He crosses the whole, half of the field, runs down this guy on the back side. That could have been a score. It's really up to Nate to stop him here, or JoJo Lewis, but he makes a great play and yeah, stops him from getting points because the next time we have the ball in the third quarter, they haven't scored there, and that's a really close to the red zone there. This right here is Keon Magwood blocking. I just want to show the play, and then Willie, you kind of tell us what's it mean to see a wide receiver blocking like that and getting you the touchdown so far down the field.
Just watch the clip. It's everything, man. Like this is the moment right here. Like
Pulls up, puts his hands up.
Mm-hmm. And I was right there. We're right here. Like you can see, I got this red hoodie on right at the bottom of the screen. We were standing on the 10-yard line. Me, Jay New, Quake, and the AD Jeff Mitchell. We were all standing there, and we literally walked into the stadium before this happened. We got on the field. We were talking to Jeff, and then all of a sudden, you see wide zone, and all I looked at was Magwood just blocking his tail off, man. And Colin, you have no idea how I feel about this. Like me as a receiver, like you don't get the football unless you show on tape that you love to block and you like to block for your teammates. Because at the end of the day, we're gonna go through the run game, and if our receivers are blocking and throwing their bodies in there and sacrificing themselves for the love of the team, like that's a formula to win. And at the end of the day, that's gonna come back around because coaches see that it's like, all right, we gotta get this guy the ball, right? Because when you block your tail off and stuff like this happens, coaches remember that and they rely on you, and they'll rely on you in different ways. So to me, this is everything, man. This is the play, like I mentioned earlier. It can be a 12-yard run, possibly 15, or it can break to the house when guys like Magwood are blocking to the whistle, right? He saw it at the moment where he needed to let go. He let go, showed his hands, and Ashley did the rest, man. So I think that was a huge play just for that run. That blocking on the edge was everything because he cleared it, and there was one person left, right? And he was getting blocked up,
Yep.
and Ashley does what he do.
Yeah, and then so we're talking about wide receivers. I'm trying to pull something else up here real quick while I'm talking, but we're talking about wide receivers putting in that extra effort, and I'll get to the other thing in a second. But obviously, the play that kind of iced everything away was this TJ Horton kickoff return for a touchdown. And so Colin kind of alluded to it a second ago. The reason this happens, and I'm gonna pull up the clip here in a second, is not just TJ Horton. It's not just in the special teams in general. Eric Weatherly puts in the effort to make sure that that TJ Horton does not get caught. And coming into the offseason, Eric Weatherly was a guy that we really expected a lot from offensively. Unfortunately, that hasn't really been the case so far. For whatever reason, that just hasn't been the case. And why I respect him so much when seeing this play is because he was a bigger name that we got in the transfer portal. He was a name that, again, fans expected a lot from. And if things aren't going his way, he has one of two options. He can, just kind of say, okay, whatever, screw this. I'm going to just kind of take my ball and go home. Or he can fight and he can help the team in other ways that he's not necessarily helping on offense like we thought. And this is the effort that he did. And he is the reason that this ended up in the end zone and ended up in a Ball State win yesterday. So I'm going to pull it up here and put it on full screen so everyone can see it. So we'll watch the whole play here. Obviously, hold on. Let me get the sound off of this. So here we're going to watch this whole play, and it's going to be on the bottom of the screen down by kind of where the score bug is. You'll see it. There's 3 right there. So he's behind the play right now by a lot. He's maybe 10 yards. And look at this. Watch this. 29 is going to be right on Horton, and he gets in, puts his body in front of him. He runs up probably 10, 15 yards behind the play to catch up to this and make sure that he's going to get in there. And he could have, if he's a guy with a bad attitude, he could just loaf there, and maybe TJ Horton gets caught. And maybe Ball State doesn't score. Who knows? This game could go 100 different ways. But he comes 10, 15 yards behind the play and catches up and makes sure that his guy's going to get in the end zone. So, Willie, you like seeing your wide receivers block. What do you think of that effort from Eric Weatherly on that play?
I'm so glad you put this on there, dude, because that's like the definition of everything we're trying to talk about, man. Like buying in. Like this guy, like you said, is not having the best year he probably thought he should have, but the year's not over yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything that you do, everything that you put on tape speaks to your character, right? And I just think this is a character play to know that he's behind the play by at least 15 yards. Go ahead and rewind it, dude.
Yeah, let me
Just
pull
watch
that
it
back
one
here.
more time. Like he's behind the play. Like when he breaks, right?
So
here.
He's
He can
like 10
stop
yards
running.
back right there. Yeah.
He can stop running, but
Yeah.
right now he is in full blown sprint mode. Like he got the damn ball.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and 29 is coming, and then here he comes cutting off. I saw that and I was like, who in the hell is that? I'm not even watching TJ Horton no more. I'm watching Weatherly because that right there made the touchdown. And I know they're going to shout him out, but that's just a sign of character, great character,
Mm-hmm.
and just buy in, full team buy-in right there, man. Because if that doesn't happen, like you said, John, he can get tackled right there, and you never know what could happen in the MAC, man.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff happens, crazy stuff happens. Just you don't even see coming. But it was really good to see that. I'm glad Weatherly did that, man, because like those are game-changing plays, man. And that stuff, you put that on tape, man, people see that and they recognize it.
Yeah, Colin, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on this. So obviously, it was a big play that kind of sealed things for Ball State yesterday. Yeah, just the effort out of Eric Weatherly. I know as a coach yourself, that's got to be something you love to see.
That's why you have Eric Weatherly on kickoff return, because obviously the man's fast, but he can also block, or he can also run and split the defender and then your player with the ball. And I just hope that translates to when he gets the ball, TJ Horton doing the same thing for him, the other players blocking for Eric Weatherly Jr. like they're blocking for TJ Horton. That sort of thing is infectious. And that's one of the things, like on special teams, sometimes you get players in there that aren't playing any other positions. This is how you have to make an impact on the game. So I'd love to see something like this, because that means people like Earl Wine, who I got on last week because first play of the game, we had a big kickoff return. There was a flag and we had to bring it back. That means he stepped up here too. All the people that, don't really get as much PT, but get a little bit of shine on kickoff return, kudos to them. This one's for them. It was a huge team effort in all three phases of the game. So I was, super, super excited to see this, and hopefully we see more of it as
Mm-hmm.
this continues.
Yeah, this is a play that you love to see. This shows you that they're focusing on the little things. Now, did it look like that at the beginning of the season? Maybe not as much, but this is something that you love to see. Week 3 in the MAC, that means they're really focusing, and that fire is still there for these guys. They know what's in front of them. Like we'll get to it a little bit more here toward the end of the show, but they're trying not to look ahead, but they know what's in front of them right now. They know where this sets them up, that they're starting to kind of stack some of these wins in the Mid-American Conference. So this effort, if this continues, is going to lead to really good things, I think, over these next few weeks. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure we got that play in there. Obviously, it was such a big one in the grand scheme of things yesterday, but there was a smaller thing in there that I think is even bigger than just the 6 points they got from that. All right, so Willie, I want to, like we always do on this show, I want to kind of get some extra, thoughts from your head as someone who played football for so long at such a high level. But so one of the big stories from this game yesterday was obviously this weather delay.
Yeah.
I think it ended up being 40 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. I'm not sure what it ended up being, but a long weather delay. As a player, what goes on in that, because you don't know how long this is going to last. It's not like, halftime we know is however many minutes, or this delay could last forever. Really, it could last hours. How do you guys get through that as a team? How do you stay focused? How do you keep your body ready? And then how do you come out like ready to go, like Ball State was yesterday?
Yeah, I might have to steal this from Coach U a little bit, but it's you rather have these weather delays at home versus on the road, right? You're in your element, you're in your locker, you're in your own building, right? It's just a better comfort, right? And I think guys take the time to really hydrate, really get some substance in their body, because at that point in the game, like guys are exhausted, they're tired, right? They're probably ready to shut it down because they've been battling all game. And at that point, I think guys just put on the headphones. They're talking about the game plan with the coaches when they do come in and talk to them. They're getting their feet up, continuing to get the legs in motion, rolling out, stretching, whatever they do, and just continue to let the body know that the game's not over. Keep my mind right. Those are the little things that guys probably do in the locker room, because it's not ideal, man. It's really not ideal to go through a 30, 40-minute weather delay and then have to go back out there and finish the game the right way. So mentally, it can take a toll on you. Physically, especially if the wear and tear of the game is starting to build on the body, that can play a part too. But I just love how they handled it, man. I think Coach U mentioned in his presser that they took the time during the week to prepare for this type of moment because they saw there was going to be probably bad weather at some point, and they just prepared for it. And I think that's what made the difference in the end. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. They know what they had to do at the end of the game to get this dub and secure it, and they just handled the whole process the right way. So um, really don't really have anything negative or anything else to say about it. But I just loved how they handled it and how they came out and kind of sealed the deal for that homecoming game.
Hmm. Yeah, and you made a great point there. You talking about them having this delay at home is nice. Will, you've been in a lot of locker rooms in the NFL, a lot of locker rooms in college football. These road locker rooms in the MAC are not forgiving. They're very small, so being stuck in there for a long period of time is a great thing I didn't think of. It's not something that you want to do. I actually have a little bit of a weather delay story as well from my time at Ball State. So, Willie, this would have been my senior year, so the year that you were your rookie year in the NFL. We were playing at Toledo, a night game on a Saturday night game, and it was like 17-0 Toledo within like the first 10 minutes of the game. So we then go into like a 2-hour weather delay. So now we have now we're sitting there. We know we're down 17-0. We know we're probably going to lose. Now we have to sit there for 2.5 hours while we wait for this weather to that was not a good night. And
Yeah.
this weather delay happened towards the end of the game. So you at least have that going for you. But we had that weather delay in Toledo. We still had to go play the whole game once it ended. It was, barely anything into it, but we were already down 17-0. So that was no fun. But that was obviously a long time ago. One other thing I want to note, we're talking about delays here. Obviously, there was also a little bit of somewhat of a lengthy injury delay yesterday. Hopefully, the guy from, I believe his last name is Anderson from Akron, is doing well. I think we got some updates earlier today. I think Sidelines was telling us that he had heard that maybe he's doing well. He's everything's working. He's all his extremities are working. He's in good spirits. So hope everything is well for him. That's obviously a scary thing. Whenever you see an ambulance out in the field, you never want to see that. So we're sending our best wishes. I believe it's his last name is Anderson to Mr. Anderson over there with the Akron Zips. So Willie, another question. This was kind of a back and forth game a lot of times. And in the second half, it felt like Ball State was always on the cusp of really kind of blowing this game open. And it didn't really happen until the very end. As a player in a game that's kind of back and forth and you feel like you're about to break through and they just keep stopping you from doing so. What's kind of the mentality on the sideline when Akron keeps stopping you from really putting this thing away? And then what's it feel like when you finally do kind of get that big play to break things open and kind of seal the win?
Yeah, I was telling Kyle Kelly this during the game. It was probably the second half. And I told him, I was like, man, you just got to keep chopping wood. I think it was right after the pick he threw that kind of got bobbled up and they end up going down the field and scored. And I told him, bro, it's like stuff like this is going to happen. But it's like, how do you respond?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, that's the most important thing. Like, you can't control what just happened, but you can control what happens next. Right? And that's all about chopping wood. Continue to chop wood, keep going at it, right? Good or bad, just continue to go. Because if you chop it down hard enough, you continue to chop long enough, that tree is going to go down, right? And I feel like that's all I saw yesterday was just stuff wasn't perfect, right? It wasn't a perfect game. There's a lot of things we can continue to work on, but all I continue to see was those guys continue to work, continue to chop wood, and continue to just earn this win, right? Because last week, I think one of the guys said it's like they weren't hungry for it like they were this week. And I don't know if that's because they got, blew out and got hit in the face and they just got some pride about homecoming and being at home. But it's like it has to be that way every single week. And Coach, you even, mentioned this in the presser. It's like we do this at home, which is great, but we got to figure out how to do it on the road, And if we can do it on the road, then we become dangerous, right? And if you want to be a good team in college football, you have to learn how to win road games, and especially the ones that are important. And this is a very important one coming up with NIU. I'm done with Akron. Akron was cool, but like we need to go on to NIU. We need to put up another 42, right? Because I didn't think they was gonna put up 42.
Mm-hmm.
Colin, I don't know if you thought they were gonna put up 42, but I think our scores were like 20, 24. We all had them winning, but I don't think any of us thought 42 was like in the realm of what we can do, right? So we did it. So now we need to continue to do it. We need to do it again, right? And we can build on that. And that's I think that's what the cool thing is about this deal is like, you see a different team week in and week out, and now they figured it out, right? They have to prepare the same way, and it's like they have to figure out a formula when they go on the road, what works for you, right? Because it's easy at the home, right? You got your routine, you got your own bed, you got your everything is how it's supposed to be for you to go out there and play. But when you're on the road, you're in a different hotel, you gotta eat different food, you gotta travel. It's like all that stuff can play a role mentally. But at the end of the day, man, you got to go out there and you got to execute and you got to do what you got to do. And I think they had a great week of practice, which helps. But next week, man, NIU, it's a personal game,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the last Golden Stop game for a while. That's enough pride for me to go out there and try to whoop somebody's ass and put 42 on somebody else. So that's what I really want them to see this week is just put this game behind in the rear and let's go do it again. I want to see another 40 piece put up on somebody
Mm-hmm.
because now that they don't put it out there, I want to see that every week, man. I don't want to see any steps back. I want to continue to see them grow and continue to build on this, man, because this is something they could truly build on and get better from, and we can see them do some great things down the stretch.
Yeah, because we're looking back to that Ohio game now. Them stealing that game against Ohio really sets up this portion, this 4-game stretch that we just started and we got it coming up here the next 3 weeks. The guys on the team, the coaching staff aren't going to say anything about this, but we can because we're just a podcast. We can say whatever we want. They are lined up very well right now to figure out a way to get into a bowl game, which is something I don't think a lot of people thought before the season. I know Colin was staunch on going 6-6. I thought they would get close. I don't know that I thought they'd really get it done, but they have a stretch here where they can really get this done. And Willie made a good point. They're going to have to, if they're going to go to a bowl game, they're going to have to figure out a way to win at least one game on the road. They haven't done that yet this year, but they're going to have to do that. Their best shot is this Saturday, but we can get to more of that here in a minute. So Willie, with this favorable stretch coming up and the people online and the people on TV might be talking about, Ball State has a chance to really do this here. How do you as a player and as you as a leader on the team make sure that everyone isn't starting to look ahead and starting to plan those, Christmas break plans for whatever warm city we're going to end up in? How do you make sure that that does not happen?
I mentioned it earlier. You have to go with the mentality of being 1-0 every week. You can't look too far down the road, right?
Mhm.
Because if you do, you're gonna hit that pothole and you're gonna bust your ass, right? You gotta look right in front of you and you gotta focus on the job at hand. And the job at hand is NIU, right? Once we get to where we need to go, we can look back and we can truly appreciate the process and how we got through it and the lessons we learned and the games we won, right? But everything is in front of them right now and they have to focus and lock in on that, man, because it's like you said, this is I always believe that they had the talent to go to a bowl game with a new coach, a new regime. You never really know until they get out there and they start putting games together and start putting wins together. Then you can really kind of estimate, okay, they look bowl ready. Nah, this might not be the year, but this roster is bowl ready. Now, their performance, is that going to replicate into bowl ready? We'll find that out in these next couple weeks. But in order for them to get to Christmas break and to make these plans and to do all these wonderful things with their families, right? Like I love bowl games. I appreciated them all. Even when we didn't win, I still appreciate going to a game because that's something that you earn, right? Because it's hard to win in the college, but in order to get there, you got to handle your business week in and week out, and that's what we haven't seen yet. I want to see them go week in and week out, 3 games, win 3 games, win 4 games, win 5. Fuck it, win 5.
Mhm.
Like there's nothing stopping these guys except themselves, and I believe that fully. And I believe when they run into Toledo, we'll really see the real Ball State because I feel like Toledo's they're an underdog. They lost to Bowling Green on some BS. I think they just kind of collapsed at some point, but I think Toledo's respectable, and I think we play them right after this stretch,
Mhm.
and we'll really see if they can make that push and to do even better things, right? Like, I don't know if the MAC is still in front of us, but we're 2-1 in the MAC, and if we take these next 3 games seriously, like we're at 5-1 in the MAC, and that looks pretty damn good,
Mhm.
So there's so much more ahead, right? But we can't even look ahead. We can't even entertain it. We can't even drink that Kool-Aid. We ain't even earned that Kool-Aid yet. They just making it over there. We making the Kool-Aid right now, right? We making the Kool-Aid on the Ball State of the Union. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's gonna be tasting real good at the end, Colin. Trust me. Like we're not gonna drink it right now because it's poison for these guys. But when we get to the end, right, they're gonna drink the hell out of that Kool-Aid because they earned that shit. But they ain't earned it yet. They
Mhm.
had a nice win. Cool. Homecoming, you did what you're supposed to do. That's what we expect you to do on homecoming. Now we got to go on the road to NIU and beat their ass because they're not a better team than you. They're not a better
Mhm.
coach team than you, right? That has to be established this week. And there has to be the mindset going up there and then just do it, man. Do it, execute, and be better than you were last week. That's what I expect them to do these next 4 or 5 weeks is continue to build. And I just want to see them start going on this stretch, man, because it's right in front of them, man. And when I'm sitting on the sideline and I'm looking these guys in the eyes and I see the talent, I'm like, it's not making sense. Like it just looks way too good. Like we set up to do really good things, but that switch hasn't flipped yet. And I think hopefully this Akron game allowed them to see that coming off that bad win last week, to come in and drop 42 on homecoming, and now going to NIU, which is a rivalry game that won't be around for a while. I think the momentum is starting to build, guys. I feel it. I felt it on the sideline yesterday. I don't know about you guys. What you think?
Mhm. Yeah, Colin, what do you think? Is this going to happen? Are they going to take advantage of this win against Akron and roll this momentum down the schedule a little bit more?
I'm going to start making the Kool-Aid with Willie because this is happening. This is happening. This NIU team that we're coming up against, our strengths go against their weaknesses. So like they can't stop the run. We're gonna run all over them. Like I'm gonna speak it into existence. I'm gonna manifest it. This is happening. We're beating NIU. We're better than them. They've only beaten the FCS school. They can't throw it. They like to run it. We have a great front seven, so bring it. They want to run it down our throat. We want to run it down their throat. I think we can do that better than they can do that. So I think we get that dub there. The next week, Kent State. I'm not even going to get into it. You guys know how I feel there. That'll be for the
big game
next
for
week
you.
or something. But
Can't wait.
It's basically a trophy game for you.
Basically,
It's a lot more than that.
Trophy
It's
game.
a lot more than that from what we've talked about in the past.
And then the week after, Eastern Michigan. I think we're a better team than them too. So, like Willie is saying, they can't drink the Kool-Aid. We're over here. Willie already poured the mix in. I just dumped a whole bunch of sugar in there, and John's going to stir it up. It's ready for them, but they can't get it until the end of the season. So hopefully they do what we need to do, and then that Kool-Aid is ready for them at the end of the year.
Yes, sir.
Perfectly said. Now, Mr. Sneed, we got people talking about you being the good luck charm here. 2-0 in the shoe this year. Walk us through your trip this week. I know it's a little bit different than your Hall of Fame one. We saw some pictures on social media from a familiar floor very early in the morning, a familiar floor in Muncie, Indiana. Kind of walk us through who'd you see this weekend? What'd you do?
First of all, I got to shout out one of my friends, Darlene. I was texting her that night because I was trying to make sure I stayed on point. She's on the pod right now, but it was a cool weekend, man. I went down to the Chug, and honestly, John, that's the first time I've ever been to the Chug, and I felt out of place a little bit, because I'm like, I just turned 33 on Friday, and you got all these youngsters around here, and I'm trying to be incognito with the hoodie on, and it doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? But it was cool, man. I just, I got a shot for my birthday, took it in, and then I was just ready for the game, man. I was just ready. It was a long day on Saturday, man. A lot of walking, did some tailgating, took some pictures, kissed some babies. It was cool. And then we got to the field. One thing I'll say, man, and I hope some of the guys are listening, is that in those pregame warmups, that says a lot about a team, how they're going to come out and play. And there's been a lot of times in pregame warmups where I just feel like we are flat. Like there is no juice, there is no hype, there is no intensity for somebody to match. Like when I was in the game, like when we were around, I was one of those guys that always was the one screaming and hollering and just like making noise to let everybody know, like a war cry. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go to war, it's not like you just gonna stand there the whole time and not say nothing, right? You only thinking about your annihilation. But if you out there war crying and like putting that energy out there for somebody to match, like that is contagious, and you could see that. Other teams see that, and it was me, Quake. Like Quake even mentioned it. It's just like something was just flat. And I think that part of the game needs to be taken to a whole nother level, because that's how you have fast starts. That's how you come out on defense and shake it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff to me is contagious. And the weekend was awesome. All I wanted them to do was just win the game. And we was in the building when they did the Cardinal walk. We saw them all come in the building. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving the head nod, you know what I'm saying? Dapping up Kyle, like, Kelly, this is your game. It's your time. Let's go. Talking to TJ Horton, talking to Magwood, talking to the guys that I need to talk to make sure that when it's time, when the play is coming, it's time to make the play. Make the play. put your team on the spot where they need to be. And it's just awesome to be back again. And like you said, we're 2-0 with me being out there, and I don't like it to look at it that way, but it is something contagious, man, about it. It's like being out there again, and I don't know if they can feel my energy or they just see me and they just be like, we just got to turn the F up because we got alumni here and he ain't got to be here. You know what I'm saying? I want to be there. And I love what Ball State is doing right now. I love the guys that they got in the locker room. I love the coaching staff, what they're trying to implement. I just can't wait to see when it comes all together. You know what I'm saying? Because it's going to be a point in the season where we're like, okay, this is the real Ball State, and this is something we could look forward to and be excited about, right? And I don't think we have that. I don't think we've had that for the last couple of years,
Mm-mm.
just with the inconsistencies. But I think this team is special, and I think they could do something. I think Kyle can really lead these guys to do something special. But it's really up here between the eyes, man. Between the eyes, man. It's that's where it's at, and I think they got it, man. They just got to
Mm.
continue to play consistent ball and work together.
So one more thing before we move on to the post game chirp section of this.
Mhm.
Obviously Willie Snead, member of the show, Ball State legend, another legend of the show, Mr. Szymborski. Willie showed up at the tailgate, linked up with our
Yes,
guy,
sir.
went to the RV. I know he's watching right now. He put this in the live feed for the show. So shout out, Mr. Szymborski. If you're going to be there for the Kent State game, Colin and I will stop by and we'll hang out. So, Willie, when you got to meet them, how was the RV? We hear about the RV all the time. How was it?
The RV was cool, but the drinks were better.
Okay.
Like the drinks he gave me were like I came back for a second round. I'm like, yeah, let me get the purple one now. Like I want the purple one. It was really cool, man. They're awesome family. I met his son on the sideline. I was chopping it up with him, and I think his kid is gonna be dangerous.
hmm
Like when he puts some weight on, real weight on, and getting a full off season, like that kid's gonna be special. And his parents are really awesome. His dad, it was great people to meet. So that's kind of like what I was doing. Like I said, I was walking around the tailgate, got to meet some fans, take some pictures. It was a cool day, and it was awesome to meet them and meet their family and talk to his son a little bit during the game.
Yeah. So again, Mr. Szymborski, I'll see you hopefully at that Kent
Yes,
State game.
y'all got to
So
pull up on him. He'll give you the drink. Let me know
yeah.
how that drink. You
All
guys
right. Perfect.
shotgun.
All right. Let's hit some post game chirps here. Colin, I'll start with you. So hot take, lesson learned, something you like from the Akron game or something you're looking forward to for next week's last Bronze Stock game against Northern Illinois.
Mm.
Yeah, hot take. Kyle Kelly over 200 yards next week. That's my
Okay.
hot take for the week.
Ooh.
We haven't seen it yet, but I think it's coming. It's getting better and better and better this passing game. So I think that's the next step is, maybe just one touchdown rushing and 2 touchdowns in the air or something like that. But I don't even know if they're going to do that because NIU, it looks like they kind of struggle against the rush. So maybe we just go, rush dominant. But if they let him air it out, I think he's ready. I think he's getting better all year. So maybe my hot take, John, I'll change it. Look for a great game from Kyle Kelly against NIU. That's my hot take for this week.
All right, Willie, same thing for you.
Just speaking on my chirp from last week, the fast start by the offense, it was an attempt.
Mhm.
Not a successful one, but it was an attempt, and I love seeing it. Defensively, they've built on the takeaways, man. They had two takeaways. Voorhees had a sack. There was a lot of times where they had to punt the ball to us, and then we won the turnover battle, guys. Like, what was the turn? I think they only had one. They had 2 turnovers to our. What was it even?
I think it was 2-2. They had the 2 interceptions. We had an interception and a fumble. So I think it ended up being 2-2. But we won the turnover battle late. It was 2-2 early, and then we got those 2, toward the end. So if you want to look at it by halves, we won the second half, which is always the more important of the 2.
And then off of that was the special teams play.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yep.
I put the turnover battle, protected, takeaway, and then special teams making the difference in the end, and that's what they did. So I think my hot take is next week, build on the special teams explosiveness, right? Let's continue to build on that, man, because that's going to be something that this should be our calling card, right? Like we got a great punter, we have a returner now that's explosive and can take it to the house. It's on tape, right? now let's start just building on that, man. Let's get a kickoff. Let's get a punch out on kickoff. Get a short field for Kyle Kelly. Like that's my hot take. Getting a turnover or getting another explosive on the special teams to kind of seal the game or put the game in our favor.
All right, my takeaway. After the Western Michigan game last week when we did this show, boys, I was pretty down. I was pretty down on the Cardinals. I did not like what I saw. It seemed to me like we were going to turn right back into the exact same theme we've seen the last few years. We get a win, and then we take 2 steps back. We do something good, we take 2 steps back. We're never getting ahead. And I was worried that that's where we were going. But I'm here to tell you that these are not the same old Ball State Cardinals that we are used to seeing. This is a team that showed resiliency yesterday. They said, hey, you know what? We let one get away from us last week. Whether you end up winning that game however many times out of 10, who knows? But they weren't even competitive last week. They came back and said, that's not what we are. We might have put that on tape one week, but we are what we were against Ohio. And they went out and proved yesterday that is what they're going to be going forward. And that's why I'm so optimistic now with this stretch going forward, is because they took that adversity of that Western Michigan butt whooping that they took, and they said, we're not letting that happen again. We're not doing it. We're not letting the fans down. We're going to come out here and we're going to figure out a way to get this win. So I don't think he's
– John,
yeah.
I know you're feeling good right now. Let me just pump your brakes a little bit.
Okay.
Let's get on the road.
Okay.
Let's get this dub on the road. And then I'm going to let you just, have at it, because I feel the momentum building inside you. Like,
yep,
this team is different.
I'm a 1-0 guy. I'm a 1-0 guy, Willie.
You're a 1-0 guy.
I'm a 1-0 guy. I take them 1 week at a time. And that's why I'm saying I think these are not the same old Cardinals. I think they're going to go out this week and we're going to give them some pump-up speeches about what this rivalry means for Northern Illinois. And I think they're going to go on the road. I think they're going to get it done this week. I don't care if they win by 50 or if they care. Well, I'd like them to win by 50, but I don't care if they win by 50 or they win by 1. If they just get a W, that's exactly what they need to do. And if they can get one win on the road, if they just win their home games at that point, they're going bowling. So I don't think he's the same old Cardinals. That's my takeaway here. So one more thing, and then we'll kind of wrap everything up. So obviously for the newer fans out there or the old fans who've been around forever, this is no shock that this is the biggest game of the season. I think I said before the year, this was the biggest game of the season. I told Coach Urumovich when we talked to him, this is the biggest game of the season. Willie, as someone who's been between the lines against the Huskies, what does this rivalry mean to you? And what does it mean to make sure Ball State wins the last Bronze Stalk game that we might see forever, for 10 years? Who knows how long it could be? What does this game mean to you?
It's just as important as the next game. It's like, I know we're going to talk up the rivalry game and everything, but for them, I just want them to go out there and just take it to them, man. Because I remember the games that we played against them, and I played 3 strong years at Ball State, and I never beat NIU.
Mm-hmm.
And it always came down to the wire, especially in my last year, my junior year. Like, if we won that game, we were going to the MAC championship. And Jordan Lynch was a Heisman front runner. They had some guys out. The scheme that they were running was just, they were playing at a very high level, and so were we. And it just came down to those last couple of possessions. It came down to coaching, and players making plays when the moment counted. And if I had to tell them anything about this game, man, just go in there strapped up, ready to take it, bro. Because if you don't have that mindset to take this game, you just give them hope. And we can't give any teams hope in the MAC, man, because you give them a little bit of hope, you can see it week in and week out. Guys come back. You saw the UMass game against Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's insane what the MAC teams can do when you just give them a little bit of hope, right? And that's something we cannot do in this game, man, because they know the history as well, right? They want the bronze stock. They want to be able to be the ones, the last one to hold it up for however long. But to be honest, that shit is ours,
Mm-hmm.
right? They need to go ahead and take it back to Muncie, keep it there for however long they want to keep it there. But at the end of the day, this is an important rivalry because it's potentially the last one for a while. And, it's the next game at the end of the day, right? So I just want to see them go out there and play their ass off, get that dub for me because I ain't get to beat them. Man, if we had beat NIU that year, we would have been in the MAC championship. I still get sick about that to this day. And I was talking to Jonathan Newsom about it. First team All MAC DN for Ball State for 2 years in a row. And he was the guy that had Jordan Lynch in his grasp.
Mm-hmm.
and got away, made a throw, and the rest was history. It was like, man, we just didn't come back from it. But there were just so many things in that game that could have went our way, but it didn't. And I just hope that these guys, if that moment comes to where they can make the difference in the game to kind of put it away or separate it, I just want them to go out there and make that fucking play for them, for the teammates, for the fans, for the university, because we are behind these guys. We want these guys to do well. We want them to win the Bronze Star. All right, so just go out there, lay it all on the line for everybody, for your brothers, and let's just see what the outcome looks like.
That was a very poised, respectful, professional answer. Colin, I want a rational, unprofessional answer out of you. What does this game mean to you?
He knows better.
It means everything. I want to embarrass them. I want them on their last year in the MAC to be like, downtrodden, kicked while they're down. You don't beat a dead horse. You don't beat a dead dog. I want to take a stick and just whack it in the head. Like this game means everything for the next 6 years for this rivalry. We will own them. I'm pretty sure it's tied. Is it not, John? Is the rivalry tied right now?
Since they started the trophy game, yeah, it was very NIU heavy for a while, and Ball State's kind of loaded up a little bit here recently. So yeah, I think it is tied now.
So not just do I want to own the rivalry and own the trophy for the next 6 years, but they're 1-6, 1-7, whatever they are. They've only beaten an FCS school. I want to clown them in the MAC. I want us to beat them. Then they got to go and see Kent State. And yeah, I say what I say about Kent State, but that's a good fight right now. That's going to be a scrap. And then say they lose that, they got to go and see UMass. Can UMass clown them? Now, if they lose to UMass and they lose to Kent State and they lose out in the MAC, it would be the best year that I could possibly envision for NIU football leaving the MAC. So yeah, I want to be part of that embarrassment to their school. So that's how much I don't like NIU. It's a rivalry game for a reason. So Willie's going to be diplomatic. It is just one other game, but for me, it's everything. I want to dog these dudes out. I want to beat a dead dog. They're dead. It's time for them to leave. Hit the door. You're not going to a bowl game this year, and we're going to make sure. So that's what I want to see this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Willie was putting it perfectly. Me and him were in school the same time together. We had some great teams, and just NIU was always in the way. So my disdain for them is out of respect because they've been a great team, and it's always been a good rivalry. But I don't like them. They took stuff away from us back when I was in school, and so it took us forever to finally beat them. We finally started to beat them. Now they're leaving. They're telling the conference, "Hey, we're better than this. We're getting out of here." And so I want to make sure that if they're going to leave, they're going to leave the MAC. I don't know that they're leaving them high and dry. I think the MAC's going to be okay in the end, but I want to make sure if they're leaving, they're not taking that trophy with them. So that thing needs to have a permanent residence at Schumann Stadium, at the practice complex. It needs to stay there. It needs to be there. I want the bronze stock. I've been after it forever. We finally have been getting it, and they're not about to take it away from us. So we got to get them. We got to get them, and I don't like them. And again, it's out of respect because they've had a good team forever. It's just because they stopped us. They stopped Willie and those guys from doing what the ultimate goal was winning the MAC, going to those big bowl games. They ended up in the Orange Bowl that year.
In the Orange Bowl, man.
So, that could have been us. So that's, I can't get over it. I'll never get over it. And so if this rivalry's ending, I want to end it with Ball State on top. So we'll get more into that on Wednesday. We have someone from NIU coming on, and he's pretty upset with NIU himself. So he's coming on. He's going to come on Wednesday and kind of give us an inside look at all things NIU. And so let's get to the visitor questions or the listener questions. And actually, speaking of that, our NIU guest is listening right now. He said, "Can't wait, boys." Samuel Hunt. Sam's going to come on with us on. He's going to come with us on Wednesday. He's going to give us everything there is to know about NIU. And so he's ready to go. He's ready to come on and talk ball with us on Wednesday. So we'll get to the rest of the questions and comments right now as well. So our friend Rob, Sidelines, he's watching in North Carolina tonight. He said, "What's up, guys?" So what's up, Rob? Good to hear from you. Our friend David on YouTube. David, you changed your profile picture. I didn't even recognize you at first. So he said, "Hope the team shows up in DeKalb with some character they showed in the Akron game. If they do, we stand a great chance of putting together back-to-back W's." Again, if this team's going to get ultimately where they want to be, they're going to have to win at least one game on the road. So this is a great chance to do it. David again couldn't make the game. He has a sick puppy. So do you have a sick puppy right now, David? Is that what you're saying? If so, I hope it gets better. But if he had, he would have stayed to the end. And then he said, Willie, you're the good luck charm. So if you don't want to be the good luck charm, too bad, the word's out. So if you for some reason try and come to the Kent State game or Eastern Michigan, they might be blocking the flight. So
no, they got you guys that game.
Yeah. So Mr. Timborski over on Facebook again, we saw his RV this week. He said,
good boys, yeah.
Yeah. So, is that what the drink was called?
That's what the drink is called, yeah.
Okay. And so Colin, guess what, Colin? He's going to be at Kent State, so we might have to have a good boy. Former head equipment manager Jack Bees. The stock means everything. Jack was a student manager. He was an employee for the football team for a couple of years as the head equipment guy. He works over at Northwestern now. So even in the Big Ten level, it means everything to you guys there. And Jack, Northwestern's been looking a little bit better here recently. So shout out to the Wildcats up there. I know Ball State plays up there next year in that new stadium, so I'm excited to get up there next year. I know you're going to show me a good time when we're around there. And last thing here from Rob, he said, I was going to mention the PTSD play, but Willie did. We'll never forget. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough, but that's what you go through, obviously, as a player and as fans as well. These are the ups and downs as you go through as a fan. That's what makes sports so great. And so, the highs are high, the lows are low, and that's just kind of how it goes. So, boys, anything else before we get out of here and go over the schedule for this week?
No, nothing, man. I appreciate the listeners. Awesome job at Ball State, getting the dub on homecoming, as we should, being undefeated at the shoe. Like I said, let's just continue to build on this. Appreciate all the listeners tonight. Love you guys. Keep subscribing, liking, following, all that good stuff.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So this week, before we get out of here, the schedule. I know I put some out there a couple of days ago, but the first episode of Cardwood, the Ball State men's volleyball, or not men's volleyball, excuse me, the Ball State men's basketball podcast, Cardwood, with me and Trey Moses, is going to be dropping tomorrow night at 8:30. Tomorrow night is going to be like giving everyone a chance to get to know Trey if you don't know him already. So me and him sat down, I interviewed him for a little while. So that's going to come out tomorrow night at 8:30. And then next week, we're going to do our season preview. So if you're a Ball State men's basketball fan as well, be sure to check that out. And then who knows, maybe we'll have some other types of shows that offshoot throughout the year as well. So again, 8:30 on Wednesday, live show. We're going to be doing all things Northern Illinois. Samuel Hunt, who chopped up in the chat here, he's going to be joining us. He's going to tell us everything about NIU. Now, Colin, Spaces. Do you want to do Spaces this week? I'm going to be at the Florida Panthers game on Saturday night after this game's over. So I don't know if I can be on Spaces. Do you want to do them? Do you not want to do them?
Yeah, I'll still do them. If it's just me in there, I'll shoot it out to people. But if it's just me in there, it's going to be like a quick 2, 3, 4, 5 minute max recap. Hopefully we get Willie in there. Hopefully we get Sidelines or Max Sports Connection, whoever. If we can't, we'll do what we can. But I like to have them because when I don't have them, then everybody's asking me, hey, where are the Spaces? So we gotta keep them going. So they'll be there.
And then no matter what, next Sunday night, we'll do a recap show as well. So whatever we don't cover in the Spaces, we'll have that recap like we're listening to right now. So that is going to do it for this edition of Ball State of the Union. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a show. Tomorrow night, again, we're going to do the first episode of Cardwood with me and Trey Moses. So make sure you don't miss that. And then Wednesday, again, getting ready for the big game, the last Bronze Stock game. Wednesday night, 8:30, we'll have everything you need to know about that game. So until then, everyone out there in Cardinal land, chirp, chirp, and go Cardinals.